Hello and welcome to the Docking Bay 77 podcast YouTube channel. I am one of the hosts, Dayton Johnson. Joining me for another of our Versus episode, it is Tim Brown, the broccoli of the podcast. How you doing, Tim?
I am healthy. I am man. Yes, I am.
Love it. Love it. So if you have not checked out one of our Versus episodes, it's a real simple concept. We take an original song and compare it to a cover version of that song. For this particular video, we are covering the song Am I Evil, originally done by Diamond Head and covered by Metallica. So going into this, I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Well, let's do it this way. How familiar with the original were you? Because I had never listened to it until recently.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I knew it was a cover a long time ago. Originally, I did not know it was a cover. It was years later that I realized it was a cover.
Okay.
And I don't know why, because it says right on the album that, you know, who it was, doesn't
Right.
it? Yeah.
It does, yeah.
And
Well,
I guess
yeah.
I never actually had a physical copy of that one, so I guess I just never picked up on that. Then I did find out years later, okay, that's a cover, but then it's probably only been like a year or two ago that I actually heard the original for the first time.
Okay. Yeah, it was actually this year that when I started going through potential Versus videos, I actually added the song on there. And so I hadn't listened to it ever until earlier this year. So it's a new one for me. But yeah, it was one of those because I remember because I had the cassette single for Creeping Death because of the stuff that was on the other side. So I was familiar with it that way. And but yeah. So going into this, Metallica definitely had the edge in the familiarity part.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure,
yeah,
not even close. All right, so let's jump into some facts about the original. Am I Evil appears on Diamond Head's debut album, Lightning to the Nations, from 1980, and was then re-recorded for their second album, Borrowed Time. And there is a remastered and slightly different version that appears on the 2021 remaster of Lightning to the Nations. So it's getting a lot of love. Written by lead vocalist Sean Harris and guitarist Brian Tatler. They drew some inspiration from the Black Sabbath song Symptom of the Universe from the 1975 album Sabotage. Am I Evil tells the story of a man who witnesses his mother being burned alive for being a witch, and he seeks revenge on those responsible for the death by killing all 27 of them in the most gruesome manner. After seeing their bodies in the ice, he asks himself, is he evil for committing these murders? And he repeats over and over, yes, I am. So, I mean, I'm sorry. If somebody burned my mom at the stake, I think I probably want some, vengeance too,
Yeah, maybe a little, just a tad.
Maybe. Just really. The song is actually listed on Kerrang's 50 most evil songs ever. Is that a good list to be on? What do you think, Tim? I don't know.
That one's a lot of context that's going to be necessary there.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, thoughts on the original song, Tim?
Well, I was actually kind of surprised how close it is to the Metallica version. That Metallica didn't deviate very far from it. It's Metallica playing the same notes and chords and singing the same lyrics.
Right.
But it does definitely have a very different feel in the performances.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, when I started listening to it, my brain went, "Oh, I can totally see why the guys in Metallica liked Diamond Head." There's definitely some. You can hear the early '80s, the new wave of British heavy metal sound in with the original, and yeah, so it was like, oh, a light bulb moment. No wonder they covered the song because this is definitely a strength for them. I actually the things about it, so some specifics for me. Surprisingly, I like the guitar tone. It's not a lot of reverb or anything, not a lot of noise, and it's just kind of straight. Not really clean, but it's pretty. It's not what I expected going into it. Let's put it that way. And actually, I kind of like the vocal track a little bit more than Hetfield's because I feel like I actually can hear the lyrics a little bit better and actually understand more of the lyrics.
Yeah, you can do that a little better with him. He's definitely not the growler that James is.
That's very true. That's very true. Um, the production is a little suspect, but I think that's more because they were a 1980s metal band that didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, but yeah, the mix is a little uneven. I kind of feel like the rhythm section, the drums and the bass don't get enough love. Like certain times you can hear the bass, but throughout the most of the song, it's kind of almost not there, and
Mhm.
the drums are a little quiet for my taste. But that's
Well, overall, the whole track is a little bit definitely more subdued than the Metallica version.
fair,
You're right, the drums are kind of quiet in the background. It definitely feels like a very early LP pressing kind of sound,
right,
if that makes even a lick of sense to anybody. But LPs generally didn't have the same kind of volume level that like CDs could handle.
right,
Because if you had too much, basically too loud of a level when you press your record, the needle's actually going to skip out of the groove. So you don't want that. You want, so
right.
there's a physical limit to how loud you can get on an LP, and I think that really shows here because everything is kind of down and subdued. Um, I I hear what you said about not a lot of reverb on the guitars, but I feel like overall the whole track has a whole lot more reverb than the Metallica version.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else on the original before we move on to the cover?
The only other note that I had taken on it when I was listening was that Metallica's version is obviously heavier because it's Metallica and it's still that thrash era Metallica.
Right.
Um, this is still a heavy song, but it's heavy in the same sense that Dio era Rainbow is heavy, you know?
Or yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
All right. All right. I got that. All right. All right. So let's move on to the cover. Am I Evil cover appears on the B side of the Creeping Death single from the Ride the Lightning album. A cover of the song Blitzkrieg from the band Blitzkrieg appears as well. And the two songs together were dubbed Garage Days Revisited. The song has since become a staple of the Metallica's live show for years. In fact, every time I've seen them, they performed at least part of the song. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, thoughts on this one? I'll start real quick. I like their little addition at the very beginning of the song. It's not much, but it's definitely it's different than the original.
Mhm.
But yeah, the guitar tone is very Metallica of that time frame. The
Yeah,
thrash,
yeah.
the Ride the Lightning era guitar sound, and as good as the guitar solo is on the original one, Kirk nails it. It's almost note for note the same
It really
solo.
is. Yeah, yeah. I was surprised listening to the original because I was so familiar with Kirk's solo, hearing that it's really pretty close. You're right. Yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah, yeah, which is always kind of cool because sometimes guitarists have a tendency to go, well, I can do that better and try to one up it. And I think
Right.
Kirk was showing some love to the original for sure.
Mhm.
And by comparison to the original, we can hear bass. we can. I mean, I guess if you have Cliff, you want to make sure you can
Right,
hear
right.
the
Yeah.
bass
This
line.
was definitely not early Newstead.
Yeah, right. Poor guy. But yeah, the fact that we actually hear it a lot more and see, and from what I can tell, he's playing it note for note, and which is actually a really good bass line. It's just unfortunate on the original you don't hear it as much. But and it is, as you said before, it's heavier because it's Metallica, but it also feels just a little bit more up tempo. What is that? With just me, or did you feel the same thing?
I mean, if you look at the track times,
It's longer, I know.
Metallica is actually a little bit longer, so I don't know if it's actually any faster
I
because they didn't really add anything.
yeah, not a lot. Like I
So
said, they added
I
the
think the
opening,
tempos have
but
got to be fairly similar.
yeah, it's
Maybe like a couple of BPM faster for Metallica, but I can't see it being like a whole lot different.
yeah, it just, I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's just me, but when I listen to it, it does feel just a little, I don't know. Either way.
Well, I think the difference that I hear that you might be interpreting as faster is that the Metallica version is a lot more in your face.
Yes.
There's less of that. Like I said, that reverb that they use on the original to kind of tie everything together, kind of evens everything out. Kind of sounds like it's in one big room. Whereas Metallica is like, I'm right here. I'm gonna
Yeah.
yell right at your nose.
Well, that was them in the mid
Yes.
'80s for sure. So, all right. Well, anything thoughts on the Metallica cover?
I think that covers it pretty good.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right.
Yep.
Well, with that being said, we're going to jump into a kind of final judgment. For me, this was actually closer than I expected. You know, like you said, it was a little surprising how close of a cover it is, that Metallica basically just, you know, did it for the most part, note for note, didn't change very much at all.
Yeah.
But, and it was tough because at one point I actually was going to go with the original, but I think I'm going to go with the Metallica cover, which is kind of a cheat because going in, my brain was like, I'm going to pick the cover. I know I'm going to pick the cover. And then I kind of waffled for a while, but I still think I'm more comfortable with that one. How about you?
Well, I like you. It was a lot closer than I expected it to be. There's aspects of the original that I kind of like better.
Yeah.
I think the solo sounds a lot cleaner. I like the performance of it a little better than Kirk's.
Okay.
Although
Yeah.
Kirk did a great job mimicking it and going note for note. I do agree with you about the vocals. I think the vocals, it's not stronger, but I like that I can understand it a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes it a plus. But overall, you know, that in your face Metallica, it's definitely got the nostalgia feel for me because that was the version I was exposed to first. So yeah, I'm
Right.
gonna go with you and go with Metallica.
Yeah. Maybe it was unfair, but but who knows?
Maybe.
And you know, and we've actually done quite a few of these videos, and sometimes the cover is better, and sometimes the original holds up. So
This one's real. I mean, if you ask me again next week, I might go with the original.
yeah,
It's not that big of a difference.
agreed. But yeah, all right. Well, why don't people watching this, let us know what you think about these particular songs. I will put links for both versions into the show notes in the description below, so you can check them out. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and all that other kind of fun stuff. Let us know what you think. If there is an original on the cover you want us to discuss, drop that in the comments as well, and we will get to it. I want to, of course, thank Tim for listening to the songs and giving his opinion. So thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And of course, to everybody watching, thank you for spending time with us, and we'll see you next time.